Hello, everyone. It's Phil and Phil, and we get asked a lot to kind of summarize the reviews that we do on ProjectorReviews.com. So I want to take some time with Phil to go over some of the notable projectors that we have reviewed in the past month or so to give you some of our feedback. We do not charge manufacturers for reviews. The manufacturers are nice enough to provide us with loaners, which we utilize for the review, and after the reviews are done, those loaners are sent back to the manufacturers. So the opinions that come from our reviews are our opinions and are not influenced by those manufacturers. Since we do not charge manufacturers for reviews, it's always appreciated if you're interested in purchasing one of the products mentioned in the review that you click on the affiliate link or you utilize one of the affiliate links that are in the article or video, because we earn a small commission at no cost to you, which helps us continue to make great content and do more reviews. So we don't have time to go through every detail on all of these reviews. So we really encourage you to go to ProjectorReviews.com and check out the detailed written review. But I do want to cover a couple of notable projectors that I had a chance to review. So the first one, Phil, that I'd like to talk about is the Valerion VisionMaster Pro 2. This seems to be a really, really hot projector. So when they offered to send me a sample to utilize for the evaluation, I leaped at the opportunity. Well, Valerion's a new company, right? And in order to make a splash, you got to basically bring something that's kind of noteworthy. These products start off as a Kickstarter campaign, and there's a full family of these projectors. There's about 5 models that are coming out in this VisionMaster series: the Plus, the Plus 2, the Pro, the Pro 2, and the Max. Right? I reviewed the Pro 2. The Pro 2 is one step down from the top of the line. The Max basically adds a adjustable iris and lens shift is one of the differences you get between the two. The Pro 2 retails for about $29.99. The Max is about $1,000 more at $39.99.
So let me ask you, just in general, did the overall experience with the Valerion kind of was it a experience?
Well, one of the things you'll notice there that we've been trying to do is we've actually added kind of a rating system, because we review a lot of projectors, and a lot of projectors sometimes we give awards to. And you go, well, which one is probably the better ones? How would you rank them along compared to comparable projectors in that category? So, for example, a lifestyle projector is not going to have the black level of a JVC LCOS. It's just not. But how, when I compare it to a DLP lifestyle projector, how is its color reproduction, black levels, brightness, and stuff like that? And this one, when it came to color, actually I gave it a 4. And the reason for that is the color reproduction is very good. I have reviewed a few projectors, such as the BenQ X3100 and a few other lifestyle projectors that have a little bit better out of the box color reproduction, but this was still very, very, very good. Now, once it was calibrated, it was amazing when it came to picture, when it came to color. And the best picture modes, by the way, if you want to know, were theater and IMAX enhanced.
Okay. So one of the things that's kind of makes this a new generation of lifestyle projectors, from my perception, is the brightness. Most lifestyle projectors usually cap 1,500, 2,000 ANSI lumens, but this one has 3,000 manufacturer rated ANSI lumens. So how was that brightness?
So the projector had a rated brightness, as you said, is 3,000 lumens. I measured in its brightest mode with all the tricks turned on, 3,054, which is actually higher than what the rated brightness was. Now, that's not usable brightness. That's one of those ones where you put in the crazy high brightness mode and everybody looks like green Martians and stuff like that.
Right.
I can hit that number. But I will tell you that even in one of its more accurate picture modes, like IMAX Enhanced, I still got 2,500 lumens out of this projector.
That's impressive.
Now, the way we measure these, by the way, is we don't go through and do, a really formal ANSI lumens calculation. What we do is we turn on, like I said, the brightest mode, the brightest, all of the brightest settings, and we take a series of measurements around the screen to get an average, because we just want to make sure it's in the ballpark of what they said.
Right.
And this one absolutely is.
Great. That's exciting. So how is it on contrast, Phil? Black levels and just general contrast.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things that really separates. Brightness is actually easier to achieve than good contrast. Contrast is making deep blacks is actually hard, especially without crushing shadow detail. And this projector had a rated native contrast of 4,000 to 1 and a dynamic contrast of 15,000 to 1. And when I tested it, I turned off all of the dynamic features, and then I measured how black it was, the black measurement and the white measurement, and that's how I get it in my room. And I got about 3351. 33.
That's native contrast, right?
Native contrast. Now,
got it. Yeah.
Now that could be lower, because the way you get your contrast lower is your black levels. And my room is not a completely blacked out room. I try my best to do it at night with curtains closed. I have several, but I don't have black ceiling, black walls, things like that. But I try to get the room as dark as I possibly can in order to do this, right? The dynamic contrast was about 12,519, which is still very, very good. It's probably one of the highest contrast ratings I've gotten from a lifestyle projector, so I gave it a 5.
So
and then
good brightness, good color, good contrast, good black level.
Yeah, good HDR. Supports all of the HDR formats, HDR10, Dolby Vision, all of that. It also includes dynamic tone mapping. I will tell you that even when I compared really challenging HDR scenes using Dolby Vision versus the unit's dynamic tone mapping, there wasn't just massive difference. So the dynamic tone mapping of the projector is very good. Both contrast and HDR comes down to good contrast curves, and both of these utilizes excellent contrast curves. So you see bright highlight detail, and you see information in a dark areas. Shadows it's blacker than most lifestyle projectors, and you can see more shadow detail. So overall, the picture was great.
How did it sound?
Oh,
How did it sound?
Sound quality, I would say I gave it a 4. It's good, but I've heard better. When it came to sound, it was good. It did a good job with dialogue, but the bass, it didn't have a lot of bottom end. It kind of sounded a little thin. It was good, but I've heard better.
I know the answer is probably going to be no, but did it support the 1440, 120 hertz game compatibility?
I didn't try it, but I don't believe that it actually does. It does support higher framing game rates for video game play. So if I look at gaming, it could do. Let me look at games here. So gaming, it can do up to 240 frames per second HD, which is pretty darn impressive. So for a hardcore gamer, that's impressive. That exceeds the capability of an Xbox or a PlayStation. So very good. And it has a variety of different role play game modes. It has game modes for role play and first person shooter and driving and things like that. So really, really good.
Cool.
So last but not least, the design. Sucker's pretty. Built really well. Fit and finish is exceptional. It is a little flashy. If you look at it compared to something like a Leica Cine Play, I would say the Leica Cine Play 1 would be more like a Porsche, more kind of laid back in its design, versus the Valerion, which was kind of like a Ferrari. Lots of sharp, shiny bits. So one really wants to command attention, and something like a Leica is designed to kind of more blend into the background. Two different approaches on two different premium projectors. There's the other one that we talked about was that I reviewed when it comes to lifestyle projectors at these higher price points was the Leica Cine Play. This is a ultra premium lifestyle projector manufactured by Leica. This is their second offering for projector. They launched an ultra short throw, and this is a lifestyle projector. So this one also won a award. Now, brightness very similar to the Valerion we talked about 3,000 anti-lumens. Color reproduction, about the same. Contrast on this guy wasn't as high as the Valerion. I think on this unit, the maximum contrast I got natively was only 1,347. That's not bad.
Got it.
It's just about 1,300 to 1,400 is comparable to what I get in my room on a lot of other lifestyle projectors. But it was average. It wasn't above average. And for some reason, I could not get the unit's dynamic contrast to work. And by the way, Leica says they did not inflate that number. They said their dynamic contrast was around 1,500. So they're honest with its capability. But the Leica contrast or black levels were not the same as the Valerion. Picture quality wise, with the exception of deep inky blacks, I would say the picture quality was up in par with all of the other premium models I had. But the main difference is the fit and finish, and the user interface is top notch, and also the optics. You pay for a Leica product because of its optics. So the Leica had motorized zoom like the Valerion, great edge-to-edge sharpness, minimal chromatic error from its RGB light source. So the main reason why you buy this is because of its fit and finish and the optics that are built into it and its user interface. So, Leica. Yeah. So I really like this projector as well. It's actually back there. I'm behind me. I'm getting ready to ship it back. And one of the things I like too, they also shipped me a floor stand. So many people take these lifestyle projectors and put it on a shelf or on a table. But sometimes you may want it to just kind of tuck it in the side next to your couch or in your living room in your room and it has a really nice well-built optional stand that the power plugs into the bottom and runs up the stand to power the unit. And if you're using basically streaming services, Hulu, Netflix, Amazon, you want to run a wire to it. And it makes for a very, very, very clean looking install. So very good projector. It's more than the price of a Pro2, but less than that of a Max. So
that's what I was going to ask. So I know that when we reviewed the Leica Ultra Short Throw, it was a significant step up price wise. Not saying it wasn't worth it, but it was like around 10 grand, if I'm remembering correctly. So this one was not. This one is in the price range of like $3,999 or something like that.
Exactly. So think of it this way: it would be it's $3,799 is what the retail is.
Got it.
Feature wise, it's very similar to the VisionMaster Pro 2. You know, has Dolby Vision, everything else, and also it's kind of based on the new Hisense C2 Ultra. So it's based on that. It's very close to that unit as well. So tri-laser, 3,000 ANSI lumens, Dolby Vision, smart features, all those are the same. Design the same. The difference is it's got Leica's special sauce on the lens. And when you pick it up and touch it, the fit and finish is just a different level. So that's why you're paying for it. It's the German kind of that German idea of craftsmanship. So
okay.
So great piece. So two excellent lifestyle projectors. So there's one more that I want to talk about. So we're talking about premium, and this is the Sony. So I went through and I did all of these amazing lifestyle projectors, and I was like, wow, this Leica is amazing. The colors are great. The lens quality is excellent. The HDR, it looks amazing. Then I went to the Valerian. I go, wow, same thing. Great, great, great. And the black levels are really, really good. This is amazing. But then I had kind of a reality check when I went back to this one. As soon as I turned this back on, I realized that as I was looking at all those lifestyle projectors and many of these other DLP projectors, I have been grading on a curve, right? So it's almost like you think you see a high school basketball player and you think he's really, 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 really good until you come across at the gym some NBA player decides he wants to show up and have a pickup game, and you realize, well, I thought I was good until I saw what really, really good is. So the BRAVIA 9, the BRAVIA Projector 9 is Sony's almost flagship. There's one model above it, the GTZ 380, which is like $80,000 plus lens. This is one step down from that. This sucker retails for $31,999. This is a very expensive projector, but everything about it, the black levels, the color reproduction, the contrast, everything top notch. You know what? If you want smart features, look elsewhere. You want a sound system, look elsewhere. Anybody that's going to buy this projector is buying it because of its black level, its color reproduction, and its contrast capabilities. That's why you buy this guy. And one of the things about this projector was its out-of-the-box color reproduction is very, 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 very good. It's, color temperature was very close to the 6500 or D65 that I'm looking for. The gamma out of the box was pretty much spot on to the 2.2 target, which I like to use when it comes to setting up my gamma. The color tracking was very good out of the box. Out of the box, most people would be more than satisfied with this projector. Now, I say anybody that spends $32,000 should spend another $500-600 to have it calibrated. And if you do, you will be rewarded with exceptional color reproduction. But the color out of the box was great. That's what you pay for. The next thing was the brightness. It said it was 3400. That's what I got out of it, was around 3400. I got 3347, right? However, unlike most projectors, one of the brighter modes were actually some of the most accurate modes. So the literally the most accurate mode was still close to 2800 lumens, right? So very, very good color, very good accurate color. It only has a blue laser phosphor instead of a tri-laser though. And people always want to know why. So,
but you can do a lot. You and I've had this conversation before. We won't get into detail, but a manufacturer can do a lot with a blue laser phosphor projector. And it's not just sticking that RGB laser light source in there. Plenty of manufacturers do that, but they don't really take advantage of it and they don't tweak it. So, a manufacturer like Sony, and I'm not saying this just because I used to be a Sony guy, they take the time, they take the effort. Manufacturers like JVC take the time, take the effort to make sure that their projectors look spot on out of the box.
Yeah, I'm an ex-Sony guy as well, too, for full disclosure. But I would tell you, if you look at the premium products for both Sony and JVC, they are both utilizing blue laser phosphor light sources still. Yeah. Why? Because they're predictable. They've been refined, right? They cannot cover 100% of the Rec 2020 color space, but guess what? Most of the content you're watching doesn't have anywhere near that type of color information in it. This projector can do over 90% of DCI-P3, which is what the majority of the content is mastered at. So the majority of colors that are present in HDR content look correct. And who cares if you can't do some points that you aren't going to use anyway? Because a lot of times when you can hit those crazy color points, you're really tempted to do it when you shouldn't, and you end up with less accurate colors. So a lot of times the blue laser phosphor Sonys and JVCs are the most accurate projectors out of the box for both SDR and HDR because they know how to use the light source properly. So great color, great brightness, but what really stands out is what makes you pay a lot of money is contrast capabilities. The ability to reproduce deep blacks, right? In my room, the native contrast was close to 16,000. I'm sure in a darker room, in a more defined space, I could get a lower native contrast. But in my room, that's insane, right?
Yeah, 16,000 to 1 native contrast is insane.
Okay. Now the other thing too is the dynamic contrast. It was pretty much infinite because the projector has the ability to basically, when you're running the full light control at max or full, it just basically can turn off its light source. So it just basically turns the lamp pretty much off, or the laser pretty much off. So when they say infinite, they mean infinite. So that's what you pay for. You know, I will tell you the JVC that I have tested is the only projectors that I have tested that have been close or better than this. So
hush your mouth.
So hush your mouth. So if you're looking for absolute contrast, absolute color reproduction, absolute clarity, better lenses, lower quiet operation, more anamorphic lens capability, all that stuff, that's what these projectors are for. So I love the thing. The only con is the price. It may be out of range for some people, but you know what? They make another model called the Sony BRAVIA Projector 8, which is the XW8100ES, which is around $16,000. And in a smaller room, it gives you about 85-90% of the performance of this projector. The main difference between the two is that projector is about 700 anti-lumens less in brightness. And you pay a huge premium to get big bumps in brightness on a projector at this level. Only cons are it doesn't have Dolby Vision or HDR10 Plus. It's really expensive, and it doesn't support 3D. But if you're willing to pay a premium for one of the best projectors Sony makes, and you really desire to have the highest quality, this is the way to go. If you're at this price point, it's going to be either the Sony BRAVIA Projector 9, the JVC NZ900, or the Epson QL7000. They're all around $30,000, and they all have their own strengths and weaknesses. And I have been amazed at the picture quality of all. I've seen the JVC. I said it was one of the best ones I've ever seen. The Sony, same thing. I'm sure it's going to be the same thing with the Epson. Now I didn't have to sit back and say, well, which one is the editor's choice and which one's best in class? And I can't really say that until I get that Sony.
Sure.
I spend more time with the Epson.
Well, I can't wait to see what you see. Yeah.
But I think what's going to happen is if you want if you want the blackest blacks, and you're a contrast fanatic, you'll probably gravitate more towards the JVC. I believe, based on the current adjustments in contrast curves, I think that colors and look closer to what I see on a flat panel when viewing HDR on the Sony than the JVC. So I would and then the Epson is a light cannon. So if you have a room and you need a massive amount of brightness to overcome ambient light or to fill a massive screen, you may go towards the Epson. But the Sony and the JVCs have better black level. So
what was the native resolution?
Plus native resolution.
Sony.
The Sony is 4K. Actually, the JVC is 496 by 2160. The Sony is 3840 by 2160. So one is cinematic. The JVC uses a cinematic 4K. The Sony uses 4K UHD, what is utilized on a TV, the same amount of pixels on a TV. And then the Epson it's a native HD using pixel shifting. And the pixel shifting helps, but it isn't as sharp as the Sony or the JVC. No. It's blatantly obvious. So, but
let's be honest. I mean, Sony used to do 4096 on their projectors, and I think what it comes down to is to to take, the god that is Steven Spielberg's name in vain here. If you're Steven Spielberg and you're putting your projector into one of his viewing rooms and you're viewing content that you're shooting for a motion picture, okay. But I mean, the reality is that a consumer format 16 by 9 is, it's 3840 by 2160.
Exactly. That's the pixels that are in there. So you're not really utilizing the other pixels. So either you zoom them off the screen, which means you lose you're just wasting resolution and losing some brightness, right? So now the other thing too is if you're a camera person, there's full frame sensors and there's APS-C sensors. When you use a full frame sensor, a bigger sensor, you need bigger lenses, which makes it heavier and everything else. So going to these new 0.61s imagers that are native 4K UHD, each of the panels are smaller, which means the optical block is smaller, which means the lens assembly is smaller, which means the projector is smaller, which means the projector is lighter. So the JVC is noticeably heavier. The lens assembly is noticeably bigger, noticeably nice, noticeably not even, I would say is noticeably bigger. And it's almost like picking up a full frame camera lens and an APS-C camera lens of the same focal length and f-stop, but the full frame one is huge and the APS-C one is this big, right? Because of the sensor it's going into. But that's a whole nother conversation. When I finally get done, Phil, I want to actually have you come over. I may have to, because I need a big enough screen, may have to rent someplace, and I'm going to get the Sony, and I'm going to get the JVC, and I'm going to get the Epson, and we're going to set them all up and go and A/B them side by side, because that's the only way you're going to be able to tell the difference and really be able to say which one of these do you prefer. So I can't really tell you today, people, which one is the best one for $31,000. But I will tell you, before you spend $31,000 or $30,000 on a projector, go see all three and pick the one that you like best, or talk to a knowledgeable your installer. You got a bat cave and your screen's 135. Buy maybe the JVC. You know what? You have a media room, your room's 135. You may gravitate more towards the Sony, right? You have a 185-inch screen with some ambient light in your room, or 250-inch screen, buy the Epson. So it's going to be more of a use case scenario than anything. All right? So as I said, all of the opinions that we talk about the projectors in our reviews are our own. They provide us with samples, which we return at the end of the review. We do not charge manufacturers for our reviews. So if you read a review and you're interested in purchasing one of the projectors, we would always appreciate if you click on one of the affiliate links provided, because we get paid a small commission at no cost to you, which helps us continue to do reviews on these projectors. So anything else you'd like to cover, Phil, before we let these people go?
Well, I was just going to say there's a lot of videos you can find out on YouTube giving you very high level stuff. But if you want in-depth, detailed reviews, because we take time. I mean, evaluating one of these projectors is an extended process. If you want that level of detail and information to understand how they work, then definitely support us through the affiliate links. But also go to projectorreviews.com. and check out our detailed reviews and articles and information about these things. There's a lot of great information up there.
Exactly.
Other than that, nothing else.
And one last thing, we're still trying to Phil and I are still trying to refine, what we put in reviews, what's too much information, what additional information you would like to hear, you would like to know. So I'd love to have feedback. If you want to put into the chat, what are some things you'd like to add? We've added a rating system. We're trying to do more measurements because of things like native contrast, dynamic contrast, color reproduction. We're going to start adding tests for things like motion and other things. So it's a lot easier to screen uniformity and stuff like that. That way you can look more at the data. But as always, you can't depend on data as well. We also have to use our eyes, because what measures well may not look good. So that's one of the reasons why we come in to say, okay, does that measurement actually give you a visual benefit, or does it not? All right. So if you like these reviews and you like these sessions, please make sure that you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've actually grown to over 30,000 subscribers. I would like to get a little higher. So
let's get to 1 million.
Yeah, I would like to get to, my goal would be to get to 100,000. I would love that, because that allows me to get, easier for me to get samples, easier for us to do the reviews and things like that, when you can say, look how many subscribers I have and stuff like that. So we can get more products that we could actually review. All right, Phil. So thank you for your time and today. And for everybody out there, we'll talk to you soon.